Friday, February 7th, 2025.
Oh, wow, already.
And we're bringing you
Time flies.
another deep dive into the news today.
Absolutely.
For all you news junkies out there, you know who you are.
Yeah.
We've got 3 stories today
Okay.
with some pretty big potential ripple effects.
That was good.
We're going to be talking about the EPA,
Mm-hmm.
immigration,
Okay.
and a potential shakeup in healthcare.
All right, let's get into it.
So first up, we've got congressional Democrats
Yeah.
being denied access to EPA headquarters.
Oh, wow.
So apparently they were trying to get some answers
Mm-hmm.
about these recent funding cuts
Right.
and the potential fallout
Okay.
from those.
Yeah. This move's definitely raising some questions
That's
about
it.
transparency. You know,
Right.
the Trump administration has been pushing to reduce the EPA's power for a while now.
Right.
And these funding cuts could
Yeah.
be a big step in that direction.
And if you look back,
Mm-hmm.
the administration poured a significant amount of money
Oh.
into lobbying efforts in 2023.
How much are we talking?
We're talking $21.7 million.
Wow.
So some folks are connecting the dots here
Yeah.
and suggesting that,
Right.
this could be influencing
Yeah.
current EPA policies.
Makes sense.
For sure.
It's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
But beyond the politics of it all,
Right.
what do these funding cuts actually mean
Yeah.
for everyday people you know?
Exactly.
What are the consequences here?
Well, some experts are predicting
Okay.
a potential 47% increase in energy bills
Whoa.
if certain EPA initiatives are blocked.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Like, that's a significant jump.
Yeah, it is.
And what about the potential impact on clean air and water?
Yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, these are essential resources.
Absolutely.
And any changes there could have, far-reaching consequences.
For sure. Yeah, for public health and everything.
Exactly.
So this story's definitely not over yet.
I mean, we could be seeing legal challenges to
Right.
these funding cuts,
Yeah.
maybe congressional hearings to scrutinize EPA policies.
Yeah.
And I bet we'll even see public advocacy campaigns
For sure.
to raise awareness about these environmental concerns. That's-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting
Yeah,
to see how this all unfolds.
for sure.
So now shifting gears to a story
Okay.
with more of a local focus.
All right.
We're heading to East Hampton,
Okay.
where officials are making a pretty bold statement.
What's that?
They're promising no local enforcement of federal immigration laws.
Mm.
And this comes at a time
Yeah.
when a lot of communities are feeling anxious,
Right.
because of increased federal deportation efforts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's pretty interesting
Yeah.
to see how East Hampton is responding to this.
Right.
What's interesting here is how proactive
Yeah.
East Hampton officials have been.
Mm.
They held a public meeting,
Okay.
a press conference, and just sent a clear message
Yeah.
that the local police won't be enforcing
Oh.
federal immigration laws.
Interesting.
And the community response has been significant too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they held this town board meeting,
Uh-huh.
and it lasted for 2 hours.
Wow, 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's a long meeting.
I mean, that's a pretty strong indication
Yeah.
of how much this issue resonates
Right.
with the people of East Hampton.
For sure.
And it raises questions about how other communities might respond to,
Yeah.
these types of federal policy changes. Like,
Yeah.
could this be a model
Yeah. Interesting.
for other local governments
For sure.
looking to protect their residents?
Yeah, it really brings up the whole issue of local versus federal authority,
Right.
especially when it comes to immigration.
Absolutely.
We'll have to see how this develops.
For sure. We'll keep an eye on it.
Definitely.
So for our third story today,
Mm-hmm.
let's go back to Washington, where Senate Democrats are demanding answers
About what?
about a sudden freeze
A freeze.
on health communications
Okay.
and research grants by the Department of Health and Human Services.
HHS.
Yeah, HHS.
Got it.
And this freeze apparently affects all 13
Wow.
operating divisions of HHS.
That's a lot.
Yeah, which is pretty massive.
Yeah.
So Senate Democrats are pushing for transparency here.
Okay.
They want to understand why these critical functions
Mm-hmm.
have been put on hold.
And rightfully so.
Right.
This freeze could have major implications for public health.
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
Well, we could see disruptions
Okay.
in critical health surveillance
Right.
and disease tracking,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially even delays
Oh, wow.
in medical breakthroughs.
Because of the research grant halt.
Yeah, it's serious stuff.
Those are some serious consequences.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it for a second.
Uh-huh.
What if a new disease outbreak occurs
Right.
and the necessary surveillance systems are hampered because of this freeze.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing calls for congressional hearings already.
Yeah, makes sense.
To investigate this freeze
Okay.
and maybe even legislative reforms
Okay.
to protect public health initiatives
Yeah.
from these kinds of sudden disruptions.
Right. So it sounds like this story is just getting started.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's going to be interesting to see how the HHS justifies this freeze and what steps, if any,
Yeah.
are taken to address these concerns.
For sure.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today,
Yeah, we have.
from environmental policy and immigration to healthcare.
Yeah, what a range of topics.
And you know what connects all these stories?
What's that?
Is this theme of
Right.
government accountability,
Right.
transparency, and the impact of national policies
Yeah,
on everyday lives.
for sure. It all comes back to that.
Absolutely. So as we move into the weekend,
Okay.
we want to leave you with this question.
All right. I like it.
How do these events shape your understanding
Okay.
of the current political climate
Yeah.
and its potential consequences
Interesting.
for you, your family, and your community?
Something to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep those questions in mind
Yeah,
as you stay engaged with the news this weekend.
absolutely. There's always more to learn,
For sure.
and staying informed is so crucial.
I agree.
All right, well, that's it for part one.
Okay.
We'll be back in just a bit with part two.
Looking forward to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it really is a complex web.
For sure.
You know, these stories highlight
Mhm.
just how interconnected everything is.
Yeah,
And it really underscores the importance
right.
of staying informed and engaged
Absolutely.
with what's going on.
It's so easy to feel overwhelmed
Oh, yeah.
by the constant news cycle these days,
Totally.
but we really can't afford to tune out.
No.
You know, our voices matter,
Uh-huh.
and staying informed is the first step towards making those voices heard.
I completely agree.
You hit the nail on the head there. Informed citizens are really the foundation
Yeah.
of a healthy democracy.
Gary.
But it's not just about, understanding the big picture.
Right.
It's also about recognizing the human impact
Yeah.
of these policy decisions.
Absolutely. I mean,
Like behind the headlines
Yes.
and all the political maneuvering
right.
are real people whose lives are being directly affected
For sure.
by these changes.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Families in East Hampton are breathing a sigh of relief
Right.
knowing that their local police won't be collaborating with ACE.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
there are scientists
Right.
whose potentially groundbreaking research
Wow.
is now on hold
Yeah.
because of the HHS grant freeze.
It's crazy.
It really is a stark reminder
Yeah.
that these aren't just abstract political battles,
Right.
playing out on cable news.
Exactly.
These decisions have,
Real world consequences
for sure.
for individuals and communities
Absolutely.
across the country.
Yeah.
And that's why we do what we do here
Yeah.
at the Videntis podcast.
Right. We want to break down these complex issues, cut through the noise,
Yeah.
and give our listeners the information they need
Exactly.
to understand what's at stake.
Because knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
And we believe that by shedding light on these stories,
Yeah.
we can empower our listeners to become
Right.
more engaged citizens.
More informed and engaged.
Exactly. So what can our listeners do?
Well, first and foremost,
Yeah.
stay informed,
Right.
keep reading, keep listening, and keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid
Right.
to challenge assumptions or to seek out diverse perspectives.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate
No.
the power of your own voice.
Right.
Reach out to your elected officials.
Yeah.
Join advocacy groups, or even just start conversations with your friends and family.
Right. Get people talking about it.
Exactly. Every action, no matter how small,
Yeah.
can contribute to positive change.
I like that.
These stories, while complex, offer a valuable opportunity
Yeah.
for reflection and action.
I agree.
Now, before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to remind our listeners about our website.
Right.
You can find links to all the articles we discussed today,
Okay.
as well as additional resources
Great.
for further exploration.
Awesome.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe on our podcast
Yes.
so you never miss an episode.
We don't want you to miss out.
We're committed to bringing you
Yeah.
insightful and thought-provoking analysis of the news that matters most.
That's what we do.
So thanks for joining us today
Absolutely.
on the Videntis podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
We'll be back next week
All right.
with more deep dives into the stories shaping our world.
Sounds good.
Until then, stay curious,
Yeah.
stay informed,
And stay engaged.
And remember, your voice matters.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see how these national decisions can kind of create like a ripple effect,
Yeah.
impacting communities in these unexpected ways.
Mm-hmm.
That story from East Hampton is a perfect example
It really is.
of that.
Yeah, it highlights how these issues can play out right in our own backyards.
Exactly.
And it really underscores the importance
Yeah.
of paying attention to what's happening at all levels of government,
Right.
not just at the federal level.
Absolutely. From the White House to our town halls,
Right.
decisions are being made that
Yeah.
shape our lives. It's all connected.
It is. Speaking of connections,
Yeah.
let's bring it back to our listeners.
Okay.
Why should they care about these stories?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah, what makes them relevant
Yeah.
to their everyday lives?
Well, for starters, these issues have a direct impact on all of us.
Right.
The air we breathe, the water we drink, the health care we receive, the safety and security of our communities.
Right.
These aren't just abstract concepts.
Yeah.
They're fundamental to our well-being.
Absolutely. And beyond that immediate impact,
Right.
these stories give us a glimpse into the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The forces shaping our world. They help us understand the political climate, the power dynamics at play,
Yeah.
and the potential consequences of the choices being made by our leaders.
It's about recognizing that we're not just passive observers.
Right.
We all have a role to play in shaping the future.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up our deep dive today,
Okay.
we want to leave you with this thought.
All right, Emmy with it.
What role do you want to play
Ooh, that's a good one.
in shaping the future of our country?
Yeah. Will you be an informed and engaged citizen?
Right.
Will you raise your voice and advocate for the changes you want to see?
Yeah.
Or will you just sit on the sidelines
Right.
and let others decide your fate?
These are important questions
They are,
to consider.
for sure.
And we hope our deep dive today
Yeah,
has given you the information and insights you need to start finding those answers.
absolutely.
So as always,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us on the Videntis podcast.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive
Oh,
into the news that matters.
sounds good.
Until then,
Yeah.
stay curious,
Yeah.
stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged.
Couldn't have said it better myself.